Animation is an extremely powerful art medium that can take even the most non-believers of magic and illusion to faraway fantasies. A person's wildest and most bizarre ideas can be transferred from brainwaves to animation in the most spectacular fashion. Animation is a medium that dates back to the early 1900s, where it was unleashed to the world by Emile Cole with his film Phantasmagoria in 1908. While looking extremely primitive by today's standards, this was mind-blowing in 1908. While moving pictures are more or less taken advantage of in today's media-engulfed world, back then, nothing like this had ever been seen. But eventually, people grew tired of simplistic shapes moving about, and they wanted to see something more. They wanted to know what else this new and exciting art medium could do. So new creators and new artists got to work and started experimenting with different types of animation, from hand-drawn, cutout, 3D, and the topic of this video, stop motion.
Hiya, boss.
Of all the art forms, stop motion tends to be the most physical of all the animation procedures. While 2D animation could be completed on celluloid, or more recently, a computer, stop motion has always been animated the same way for the past 100 years. Stop motion animation is all about the practice of creating the illusion of movement. Place a model onto a set, then move a piece of the model and take a small quick picture. This small quick picture represents one single frame of movement. Then, move the model slightly and take another picture. Repeat this process until you have a finished animation. However, it's not always as easy as that. To create realistic and fluid looking movement, you have to take a lot of tiny pictures. And remember, every movement counts. For years now, many animators have tried to nail the fluidity of movement through stop motion. A few have been very successful to crack this. This video will be showcasing and celebrating the works of these pioneers who made stop motion the respected animation form it is today.
Up and down before you can say mixed vegetables.
One of the earliest stop motion animators who really brought attention to the world of stop motion was Willis O'Brien. O'Brien started work life as an 11-year-old on cattle ranches, but as he got older, he had many other jobs, such as a cowboy, a fur trapper, and even a bartender. He was even hired as a guide to a paleontologist at one point, which fueled his interest in dinosaurs and the land before time. Willis also took great pleasure in modelling, which he would do regularly while working as a head architect at the 1915 San Francisco World Fair. Some of his models consisted of dinosaurs and cavemen, and with some assistance from a local news cameraman, Willis O'Brien created his very first film, The Dinosaur and the Missing Link, a prehistoric tragedy. While this may be seen as your generic run-of-the-mill monster movie, it's actually portrayed as a comedy. It's about a caveman who wants to deliver flowers to a cave girl, but the self-proclaimed hero steals her heart instead. A primate creature named Wild Willie takes off with the cave girl, and while the caveman tries in vain to rescue her, the self-acclaimed hero wins at the end. While the plot and animation style might look simplistic, this was the very first effort from O'Brien, with a budget of around $5,000, which is $515,254.95 in today's currency. That's a pretty big number. It was this film, as well as a series of other prehistoric related films, which landed him the role of animator on the silent fantasy film The Lost World in 1925. O'Brien made his own dinosaur puppets out of clay, except now he also had access to armatures, which act as small skeletons placed inside the clay model, so it's easier to move them without the model falling over. O'Brien had some more planned films in the works, including a film about Frankenstein and the Lost City of Atlantis. However, both of these were cancelled when O'Brien got the job that elevated him to the legendary status in the world of animation, King Kong. Of all the films O'Brien worked on, King Kong was his most fondly remembered by far. When King Kong was released in 1933, stop motion had already somewhat been established, but was never really used in a film with a grand scale such as this. The film is about a colossal gorilla named Kong who lives on Skull Island. An American film producer finds out about Kong and decides to unwillingly transport Kong to New York for public display, where he is dubbed as King Kong, 8th wonder of the world.
I'll share it with all of you. Why, in a few months it'll be up in lights on Broadway. Kong, the 8th wonder of the world!
Obviously, Kong isn't happy at all about his new home, so he breaks his chains and goes on a rampage through New York. He then kidnaps an actress named Ann Darrow, who was originally offered up to Kong as a human sacrifice. He then climbs up the Empire State Building in an attempt to protect her, all while Kong is being shot at by pilots. Kong then falls off the Empire State Building, where he is found dead. O'Brien absolutely smashed expectations as King Kong went on to be a hit for RKO, pulling in around $2.8 million at the box office, which is amounted to $51 million in today's currency. Again, big numbers. When O'Brien was animating Kong, he yet again had access to armatures to ensure that moving and animating the puppet would be easy as possible. Not only did Willis manage to portray the movement of Kong in not just an admirable way, he also managed to portray Kong in a realistic way. Kong moves like a primate, like he should. And what that does is add realism to the otherwise surreal storyline of Kong. Did you know? The Kong puppet was made using a metal armature, rubber and foam for the muscle tone, and rabbit hair for the fur. The overall puppet was only 18 inches high. After the runaway success of Kong, RKO hurried out a sequel in the same year named Son of Kong, which O'Brien did work on, but was asked not to be credited due to how cheesy he thought it was. According to Kong fans, this does not do the Kong franchise any justice, as it's more set for laughs than anything, with a much more simple plot than the first one. It's what defies a poor sequel. The final project O'Brien worked on was The Black Scorpion in 1957. He also worked on the ladder scene from the comedy It's a Mad, Mad, Madman World. Unfortunately, Willis died in 1962 at the age of 76, halfway through production of the scene. O'Brien will not only be remembered as an amazing stop-motion animator, but he can also be credited as one of the very first pioneers in stop-motion animation, truly showing the mainstream world what stop-motion was capable of. The next icon on our journey through the world of stop motion is Ray Harryhausen. After watching King Kong at a young and impressionable age, he knew that he wanted to follow in the footsteps of his hero, Willis O'Brien. O'Brien then caught on to Harryhausen's stop motion films and critiqued him on his skills. He pleaded Harryhausen to take classes on graphic arts and sculpturing to help him improve. While attending classes, he met an inspiring writer named Raymond Bradbury. They managed to hit it off pretty quickly due to similar interests. Later on, they joined the Los Angeles Science Fiction League, set up by the father of the science fiction fandom, Forrest J. Ackerman. The three became lifelong friends.
We made a pact together and we said we're going to grow old but never grow up. We're going to stay 18 years, 19 years old, and we're going to love dinosaurs forever.
Harryhausen worked on various projects over the next couple of years, from an unfinished Terrytoon short film, test scenes from his dreamed adaptation of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. He even worked with famous children's author Ted Geisel, aka Dr. Seuss. But it was in 1949 when Harryhausen caught his big break when he went on to assist O'Brien in his first major movie, Mighty Joe Young. A lot of the same people who worked on the original King Kong returned to work on Mighty Joe Young, including Willis O'Brien, who is heavily respected by this point, and his new associate, Ray Harryhausen. The story is about a giant gorilla named Joe, but unlike Kong, Joe is more soft and friendly, maybe due to his owner, Joe Young.
See the most fantastic relationship between beast and beauty. A mere girl mastering a primitive giant.
One day, a nightclub owner named Max is looking for a new attraction for his club. He stumbles across Joe and Jill, as they seem to fit the bill perfectly. Jill accepts Max's offer, and they both become major hits. However, Joe is unhappy about his treatment, so he escapes his cage and goes on a rampage, leading Jill and Max to work together to calm Joe down and save his life. Mighty Joe Young was a massive technical step up from King Kong. Animation and live action combination was attempted in King Kong, but it was mastered in Mighty Joe Young. It looks more polished and refined here. Glass plane projection was also used in this film, which is the practice of filming an actress beforehand and then projecting the existing video onto a see-through glass plane so it looks like the actor and the stop-motion puppet are interacting together in the scene. Unfortunately, while Mighty Joe Young attempted to be the second coming of Kong, it wasn't the smash hit that Arkia was looking for. However, the animation was praised, and it was awarded the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects in a Film. However, the award went to Willis O'Brien, when Ray Harryhausen did around 80% of the finished animation. In fact, he wasn't even credited in the final film at all. Harryhausen wasn't put down by the fact he wasn't credited for Mighty Joe Young, because in the following years, he would take full control on his own projects for different studios, from 1953's The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms,
The Beast! The Beast! The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms!
to his first colour production in the 1958 film The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
To the boats, quickly!
But of all the films Ray Harryhausen worked on, his most fondly remembered by animation aficionados is the 1963 fantasy film Jason and the Argonauts.
Now, from the makers of Sinbad, Columbia Pictures presents Jason and the Argonauts. The mightiest band of warriors the world has ever known.
Turn back, Jason.
Jason and the Argonauts is easily cited as Harryhausen's breakthrough film, and for good reason. While O'Brien mastered movement in his characters like King Kong, Ray Harryhausen absolutely perfected the smoothness and fluidity of the movements in his animated models for this film. Jason and the Argonauts tells the story of Jason, who returns to the kingdom of Thessaly after a voyage. But what he doesn't know is that his father was murdered by a man named Peleus, and he becomes king. Jason can overthrow Peleus, but he needs an artifact named the Golden Fleece in order to successfully overthrow Peleus. With the help of his crew, the Argonauts, Jason must fight his way through different monsters and grab the Golden Fleece to rightfully claim the throne. The production of Jason the Argonauts was completed using Dynamation, which was really already discussed with King Kong. Harryhausen coined the term to mean dynamic animation. Dynamation is simply stop-motion puppets interacting with human actors, similar to how King Kong and Mighty Joe Young achieved this effect with glass plane projection. While it was experimented in Kong and Joe, it is absolutely perfected in this film. Case in point, the skeleton fight scene. This one fight scene is considered as Harryhausen's magnum opus in his stop-motion career. This is also the scene that Jason the Argonaut is most recognised for. This particular scene is a great example of Harryhausen's Dynamation effect in motion. Did you know? The 4-minute battle scene with the skeleton army took 184,800 movements in total. Ray was also given a time limit of only 4.5 months to animate this sequence. While not a huge success at the box office, Jason and the Argonauts did boost Harryhausen's career in a big way, and it's going to be heavily respected by people around the world. Even Tom Hanks loves this film.
Some people say Casablanca or Citizen Kane. I say Jason and the Argonauts is the greatest film ever made.
Harryhausen would go on to use his new Dynamation technique on other big productions, such as 1 Million Years BC in 1966,
The flesh-eating Allosaurus.
and The Valley of Gwangi in 1969. Harryhausen kept working until his final film, Clash of the Titans, in 1981. He there declared retirement after finished production on the film. During his retirement from stop motion, Harryhausen appeared in interviews for his work, even had some small cameos in films directed by John Landis. Look, there it is. Unfortunately, Ray Harryhausen died in 2013 at the age of 92, leaving behind a legacy of stop motion behind him. Harryhausen truly followed in his hero's footsteps, and to a point outdid him in animation, creating creature features and fantasy films so incredible they leapt off the screen and into the minds and hearts of viewers for generations to come. Our final icon on our journey is legendary British animator Nick Park, alongside his two breakthrough characters who literally took the world by storm.
Well done, we did it!
But before we get to Nick Park, a bit of history on Aardman. Aardman Animations was established when two friends, Peter Lord and David Sproxton, began making short animated films, almost in a Terry Gilliam style. These short films can be dated back to 1965. It was these short films that landed Lord and Sproxton the job of animation on a section of a BBC programme named Vision On in 1972. This programme was designed in mind for deaf children. They created a character named Aardman, portrayed as a dumb superhero. After creating some 2D animation, they got bored and decided to try out a new medium, a medium that would later go on and make them acclaimed in the animation world: stop motion. They tried stop motion in a short film named The Gleebies. The Gleebies was about clay characters who mess around with items on a desk. These shorts were used in the Tony Hart BBC art show, Take Heart. Later on, the Gleebies evolved into a very popular character we know today, Morph. Morph became one of Aardman's first big names, proving very popular in television. He first starred in small segments of Take Heart, but would then later on get his own TV series, named The Amazing Adventures of Morph. This time, Morph was joined by his brother Chaz, who acted like a villain or a foil to Morph. After Morph's success, the studio went on to create a series of short films based around the theme of conversation and candid recordings. One of these films was Creature Comforts, animated by Nick Park.
My favourite food is, I'm afraid to say, steak. I go a long way to go and get a nice steak.
Do you like lions as well then? Do you like steaks and chips with lions with it?
Not with lions, Andrew, no, I don't like lion steak. I prefer the ordinary steak.
While these shorts were being shot, Park was working on his university student film, but was having trouble completing it on time. Peter and David met with Nick and made a deal. If he helped them animate various projects, including Creature Comforts, they would then help Nick on his student film. Nick agreed and got to work on Creature Comforts, a short film with the premise of interviewing animals. What made Creature Comforts work was the fact that the voice of the animals were not actually paid actors, but everyday people from the Bristol area. So to see the voice and reasoning of everyday folk come out of animal mouths is an interesting concept. And everyone else seemed to agree too, as Nick won Aardman their first Oscar with Creature Comforts. Now that Creature Comforts was finished, work restarted on Nick's student film. What was that film? It was a film that would start the careers of two of the most famed plasticine characters of all time. This film was A Grand Day Out.
No crackers, Gromit. We've forgotten the crackers.
A Grand Day Out is Nick Park's first stop-motion film, and the appearance of British icons Wallace and Gromit. The story is about Wallace and Gromit as they look for someone to go on their holidays. Finding out that there's a cheese shortage in the house, Wallace has the great idea of going to the moon.
No cheese, Gromit. Not a bit in the house.
Wallace and Gromit build a bright orange rocket and they blast off to the moon in search of cheese. When they arrive, however, a parking meter robot who dreams of skiing on Earth spots them and will go to any strength to hijack their rocket and fly home to the mountains. Nick Park started animating A Grand Day Out in 1982, but in the 2 years he spent animating the project while studying at the National Film and Television School, he completed only 10 minutes of the finished animation. Aardman offered to help finish the rest of the film, while Nick assisted on other projects Aardman was working on. Nick paid £50 to Peter Sallis, a British sitcom actor from Last of the Summer Wine, to voice Wallace, giving the character the distinct and recognisable voice he is known for.
You look! What are you doing here?
There's somebody at your door.
Who?
Me. 15 minutes.
Oh, come on round, I'll let you in.
Work on the film was completed in 1989 and was put out on Channel 4 on Christmas Eve the same year. Did you know, in the original plans for A Grand Day Out, Gromit was originally going to be a cat, and Wallace was going to be a postman named Jerry. The success of A Grand Day Out not only won Nick Park his first BAFTA in 1990 for Best Animation, but it also fueled his mind for more Wallace and Gromit stories, and over the years, The Wrong Trousers and A Close Shave will be released, to more awards and more critical acclaim. Because of the success of Wallace and Gromit's many adventures, they have already been heavily established in British culture, with merchandising through the roof, a theme park ride themed after them. The characters even saved a factory from bankruptcy, and it just turns out this factory makes Wallace's favourite kind of cheese, Wensleydale.
Wensleydale?
In 1995, Aardman was already a well-respected name in the stop-motion industry, with the Wallace and Gromit films already finding success around the world, especially in Japan. Japanese audiences loved the characters so much, they were featuring adverts for pudding. Yeah, I don't know either. However, in the same year, Nick and Peter had big plans. They wanted to take Aardman into the world of cinema. Peter Lord thought of a motion picture based on Wallace and Gromit. However, Nick didn't feel ready to put Wallace and Gromit into something as grand as a motion picture, so the pair got to work thinking of a new premise. Because this was Aardman's first forte into the world of film, its premise would have to be bizarre, but approachable and entertaining to worldwide audiences. And in 2000, Chicken Run was unleashed to the world. Chicken Run was Aardman's first film, and is essentially modelled after classic escape movies such as Escape from Alcatraz, but with chickens. Chicken Run follows Ginger the chicken and her friends on Tweedy's farm, run by Mrs. Tweedy, a cruel and cold businesswoman who only sees profits in the chicken pies she produces.
Chickens go in, pies come out.
Ooh, what kind of pies?
Apple.
My favourite.
Chicken pies, you great lummox.
After too many chickens get taken away for the chop, Ginger decides that enough is enough, and with the help of her friends Mac, Bunty, Babs and Fowler, they start to form an escape plan. However, an American rooster named Rocky is launched into the farm after a freak accident at the circus.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a wonderful audience.
He claims that he can help the chickens learn how to fly and escape the farm. However, the chickens' fate is sealed when Mrs. Tweedy buys a huge chicken pie making machine, which will increase profits with minimal work. So Ginger, Rocky, and the rest of the chickens work together to escape the farm and end Mrs. Tweedy's reign of terror once and for all. Because Chicken Run was Aardman's very first outing into films, they wanted to scale the project to be bigger than the Wallace and Gromit shorts they were already well known for. The chicken models used in the film would have to be more refined and detailed, using colour blending for each chicken, hand-painted individual feathers for added detail, and because these puppets were so complex due to their armatures, many seams were hidden by some kind of clothing on each individual chicken. A celebrity cast would also be incorporated to the film, including Julia Sawalha as the adventurous and plucky Ginger, and big-time American actor Mel Gibson as the cocky rooster Rocky.
Pushy Americans.
Hi, how are you?
Overpaid, oversexed, and over here.
Which bunk is mine?
Compared to other Aardman films in the past, Chicken Run was a big technical step up, from smooth sweeping camera panning that was previously experimented with in a close shave, to CGI that was sometimes incorporated into scenes to widen the world around the chickens and to make the effects in the film more explosive. The movement of the characters is a lot more fluid in Chicken Run than the Wallace and Gromit short in the past. They would keep up this tradition in further productions, like Pirates and Adventure with Scientists, Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit, and the most recent film, Shaun the Sheep the movie. Chicken Run not only blew expectations at Aardman, but it also blew away critics, with the film receiving some extremely favourable reviews. The box office numbers also blew Aardman away, as the film went on to make $225 million worldwide. With the success of Chicken Run, Aardman was not only confident to carry on work with television, but they would also work on Peter and Nick's once-designed Wallace and Gromit movie, and in 2005, Wallace and Gromit, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, was yet again released to great box office numbers and even greater critical acclaim. After the success of Curse of the Were-Rabbit, one of the worst tragedies in the company's history happened. A blazing fire destroyed the Aardman prop warehouse, destroying 20 years of props and sets from Aardman's history. However, Nick Park and the rest of the Aardman team didn't let this get them down, as they kept producing quality films and TV series, including the insanely popular Shaun the Sheep, to smaller projects such as advertisements. While Aardman Animations are currently working on smaller projects after the success of the Shaun the Sheep movie, let it not be said that without the guidance of Peter Lord and David Sproxton and the wild imagination of Nick Park, stop motion maybe wouldn't have any kind of exposure in today's CGI animation heavy world. But because Aardman are one of the only companies who focus mainly on stop motion productions, besides Leica and a few others, the world is constantly looking forward to the day where Wallace and Gromit, or Ginger the Chicken, or Morph will return to our screens in their full plasticine glory.
Oh, that was riveting.
This is sadly the end of our journey through the world of stop motion, but this isn't the end of the possibilities that this extremely unique animation technique can produce. While traditional 2D animation or 3D animation can tell 1,000 different stories, these styles do tend to satirize the animation market nowadays, especially 3D animation. And if it wasn't for these three pioneers, we may have never seen stop motion in today's world. As shown, stop motion can be used in a variety of different genres successfully, from horror to fantasy, sci-fi, and even comedy. Stop motion isn't only used for film and television, it can also be incorporated into many different divisions of media. It can be used in music videos such as Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer. This music video used a combination of photography and plasticine to support its visuals. Adverts also take advantage of stop motion to sell a product to an audience, such as this Aardman produced advert for reggae sauce.
Somebody put some music in the food for me. Give me some reggae sauce. Hot reggae sauce. It's so nice, I had to name it twice. Me call it reggae sauce. Hot reggae sauce.
Stop motion has also been used in adverts for television, merely to give a strange and surreal edge to channel identification, much like this island made for CBBC. Stop motion is also used a lot in short films on the internet. Some of these films pay homage to iconic cinema, like in this film, which combines both John Carpenter's version of The Thing and Pingu. There really is nothing the animation medium of stop motion can't do. Stories and sagas can be told by physical objects and pictures. Movies and melodramas made up of small movements from objects. There's an infinite amount of possibilities that this extremely unique art style can produce, with the only limit being your imagination.
All's well that ends well, that's what I say.